Why didn't it work out for Zach Collins in the San Antonio Spurs? He was the 10th pick in the 2017 draft. He had the contract, and according to the data, he had the potential. In fact, during the 2022-23 season, coming out from injury, a statistical analysis showed Collins was putting up numbers that looked eerily similar to Alperen Şengün. Look at the profile. He was scoring, he was rebounding, and crucially, he was passing the ball like a modern offensive hub. The Spurs didn't just have a good player, they had a blueprint for a potential star center. He had it all in front of him. So what happened? Personally, using the eye test, I always thought he resembled a better version of Isaiah Hartenstein. A gritty, playmaking big, but with one clear advantage, a touch from the outside. And that makes the question even more puzzling. We all just saw Hartenstein thrive and become an essential piece for a playoff contender. So why did he succeed while Collins, the one with supposedly more tools, fizzled out? The answer is a powerful lesson in self-awareness, and it's a warning for the Spurs' new center, Kelly Olynyk. This is the cautionary tale of Zach Collins. To understand the fall, you first have to appreciate the rise. I've mapped out Zach Collins' entire performance as a Spur on this heat map. Green means he's playing well above his average, red means he's struggling. Simple. As you can see by the lines, his time in San Antonio breaks down into 3 distinct acts: the pre-WEMBY era, the WEMBY experiment, and finally the fallout. Let's start with Act 1, the pre-WEMBY era. This is where the Spurs' gamble looked like it was about to pay off in a massive way. Coming back from major injuries, Collins had a chip on his shoulder, and you can see him building momentum. Look at this chart of his fantasy point production, and here's the proof that the Spurs saw it too. This chart shows every 5-man lineup the Spurs used that season. The yellow dots are lineups with Zach Collins. Look how many there are scattered all over the chart. What does this tell us? It shows the Spurs were actively investing in him. They were plugging him in with every possible teammate to see what worked best. In an organization like the Spurs, that's a massive vote of confidence. They were convinced he was about to hit his stride, and he did. This is the result of all that momentum and trust. It's a sea of green. His scoring, his efficiency, his playmaking, everything was lighting up. This was the gritty, high potential center we compared to Şengün and Hartenstein. You with sharp eyes might be looking at that heat map and thinking, wait, I see a lot of green during the WEMBY era too. And you're right, but that is where stats without context can fool you, because the way he got those green stats is the very reason the experiment was doomed to fail. This brings us to Act 2, the WEMBY era, and this is where the story gets complicated because on the surface, Zach Collins was thriving. His stats were great. His career heat map shows this was his peak season, but these were empty calories, all sizzle, no steak, because while Zach's individual numbers looked good, the team was struggling whenever he was paired with WEMBY. This chart is a map of success, and the violet dots, the WEMBY and Collins lineups, are all in the wrong neighborhood. They simply did not work well together, so we have to ask the million-dollar question: why? The answer isn't complicated, but it is fatal. The data shows the one thing he started doing drastically more was shooting 3-pointers. Think about what that means from the other team's perspective. Would you rather have Victor Wembanyama creating chaos in the paint or Zach Collins shooting an open 3? It's an easy choice. They were letting him shoot and he was taking the bait. And this fatal mistake led to another ripple impact to his core strengths. So what was that ripple effect? Simple, he ghosted the glass. This chart right here tells the whole story. As soon as he started launching threes, his rebounding, the gritty, tough guy part of his game that was his bread and butter, just went off a cliff. He completely abandoned his identity, and that kicked off the downward spiral. First up, he lost his starting spot, and if you're wondering why these two tables are the receipts, sure, his personal box score stats looked bigger when he started. More points, more everything, but check the team's record. With him starting, they were getting blown out, winning just 13% of the time. When he wasn't starting, that win rate more than doubled. The math just wasn't mathing. His stats were hollow, but it didn't stop there. Next up, he vanished. Being a backup was one thing, but then he started to fade out of the rotation completely. Look at this lineup data from the end of the season. You'd need a magnifying glass to find him. He wasn't just on the bench, he was basically out of the picture. So what's the final takeaway here? When you boil it all down, the data screams one thing at you. The biggest difference between good Zach and bench Zach: rebounding. It always comes back to the rebounding. That first mistake, trading his hustle on the glass for threes from the logo, was the move that wrecked his game. And that brings us to the final point of this whole story. It's a warning label, a heads up for any player whose game looks like Zach Collins's. And you know who that is? Kelly Olynyk. Honestly, when I was putting this together and ran the numbers, the result was so dead on it surprised me. It actually made me more confident in the model I built. Look at this. Olynyk isn't just similar to the 2023 version of Zach Collins. They are practically statistical twins, and it really makes you wonder, what if this isn't an accident? What if the Spurs' front office saw the same thing? What if they want consistency in that specific role next to Victor, and they're betting a 10-year vet like Olynyk is the one who can finally master it where Collins failed? If that's the case, then the mission for Olynyk couldn't be clearer. The blueprint for success is written on the wall, and it's the inverse of Zach's story. He has to have the wisdom to manage this temptation so he can focus on this mission. It all boils down to a simple non-negotiable trade-off for him to thrive in San Antonio. Stop floating on the perimeter and get ready to eat glass. Get ready to do the nitty-gritty work and haul in every board you can. That's the job. End of story. So the blueprint is clear and the choice is now up to the Spurs bigs. And that leaves me with one big question for all of you watching. What do you think is the right move here? When you're pairing a player with the generational talent like WEMBY, should the bigs focus on attempting more threes to create spacing? Or should they forget all that and just commit to doing the dirty work for Victor, setting hard screens and crashing the glass? It's a real debate and the core of modern team building. Let me know your take in the comments below. I read all of them. Until then, keep nerding out.